Okay, hi Kaylee. Let's talk about the research essay. What questions do you have?
My main question was how to bake in the compare contrast as well as the cause and effect into this predictive essay.
Sure. Okay. That's a really good question. A lot of students ask this and this is pretty somewhat normal, I would say, quote unquote, for a research essay to embody all of these elements. And you guys have been building up to this point, right? So first things first, you guys know that you need to have all of your all of your ideas backed with credible sources. So this research module will focus on the library module, doing the research there. Uh and but in terms of writing, you guys learned that in a summary, you always include your resources, and in doing so, you include the title, the authorities, background, a little bit about the piece, and then any quotes that are, and they must be cited. So you know that that will be an element of this research essay from the first module. Then with compare and contrast, we inherently compare and contrast just naturally in life, whether we're deciding on breakfast or buying a car or picking a class or whatever. There's always kind of a compare and contrast, like, I want uh, you know, something healthy, but pancakes sound really good, right? So then you start comparing and contrasting a healthy breakfast versus pancakes. For example, so there's going to be an inherent compare and contrast to this. And in this case, how AI affects a specific system in American society. So it's kind of a past, present, future comparison. Your essay will be structured. Typically, it's structured, and you guys have examples in the file section. So just a reminder to check those out. But it will be structured past, present, future, kind of comparing and contrasting those effects of AI on an important part of society. And in doing so, you will include the causes and effects of those changes, right? So when you kind of back off and don't overthink it, you will inherently do all of these things in the research essay. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so there's not a like finite structure. Like for the cause and effect and compare and contrast, it had to be, sort of balanced a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so with this, it's not like this paragraph should be, comparing and this paragraph should be contrasting. Is
Right.
it not that structured?
Not real, not in that way, not in the exact same way that a compare and contrast essay is. In this case, it's a little bit more past, present, future.
Okay.
And and so it's kind of like if a compare and contrast is A, B, A, B, A, B, this might be A, B, C, A, B, C,
Gotcha.
or it might be two paragraph like body paragraphs. Obviously, you're gonna have an intro and a conclusion. So perhaps you might have two paragraphs on the past, right? And we'll circle back to what these words kind of mean, but like
Mm-hmm.
two paragraphs on the past, two paragraphs on the present, and two paragraphs on the future.
Mm,
It could be like that.
right.
And so when we say the past, AI is fairly new as far as I know. And what new is in quotations also because time, in
Mm,
this case, like obviously Cleopatra didn't have artificial intelligence, right? We know that it's probably computers have only existed since the 1980s. Um, and and social media is only maybe 10 years old, maybe 15 years old. I don't know how old exactly Facebook is. The precursors were MySpace and something else, Friendsters. But anyway, sorry, I'm getting a little bit lost. But that might even be considered the present or the past, depending on where you start your essay.
Mm-hmm.
Before I overcomplicate things, it just depends on where you start your essay in your introduction paragraph and what you consider the past and the present, like how you define those terms, and then the future. Like you could be talking decades, you could be talking years, you could be talking months. Um, so that's going to be up to the writer.
Got
Uh,
it.
and then the other thing it will also impact that will be which quote unquote specific system in American society you're talking about. So we also need to define what that means. What I mean for a specific system might be a healthcare system, might be uh I mean I want it to be interesting to you, the writer, and this goes
Mm-hmm.
to anyone watching this. I want each of you to perhaps consider if you have a future in mind, if you are focused on in a specific area. I know oftentimes I have students who will become nurses, for example. How will AI affect nursing? And if you know what nursing, especially specialty you're interested in, perhaps it's prenatal, perhaps it's emergency care, perhaps it's uh, uh, OBGYN, it could be anything, whatever your interest is, but how will AI affect that? Oncology, whatever. So, and it doesn't have to be nursing, obviously. It can be anything. It could be welding, it can be script writing, it could be, whatever the writer's interest is. But once you define that, then consider how AI it has affected it, is affecting it, and perhaps will affect it.
Right. How supported do our predictions need to be by sources? Like, are we supposed to be kind of folding in other people's predictions as a source, or do we
Well,
have kind of freedom to just speculate?
well, it's not really a speculative essay. It is a predictive research essay. So you want to always in academia, you always want to back your claims with facts. And you guys are just now starting this research module, so you're going to learn how to use our library. There's a short series of modules. I think there's 5 or 6. They take about a half an hour to 45 minutes to finish each one. So you guys should definitely get started on those now, anyone watching this. And as you're doing it, it would be helpful to have your mind on, you don't have to have it carved in stone just yet, but you might have a couple areas of interest to you. And I do have a short list here for you. I did notice I mentioned the healthcare system, the voting system, changes in education, shifts in employment, food services, the environment, mental health, sports, media. It could be really anything. Like I said here, I hope you enjoy whatever it is you're writing about. Now, the predictive argument is not like psychic Swami, what do I think? What is my guess? It's after
Hmm.
I've read this information,
Hmm.
my prediction is the potentials could be blah blah blah, right?
Right. Like the
S-
trajectory is headed this way.
right. But it's an educated prediction.
Right.
It's not like, okay, I had a dream. I looked
Right.
into the sand and I saw no. So So that's where your research comes in. And to answer your question, like how much support do you want to give your ideas? Well, your ideas should be supported with educated claims, and the claims will come from the stuff you read.
Right.
The resources here, as you can see, the works cited page should have at least 3. database, uh, resources from the library database. What our database has, you guys, is a lot of periodicals. Periodicals are newspapers, journals, or sorry, I just said that. Newspapers, journals, I was thinking Newsweek, magazines, things that are published periodically. So there you'll have something from the library database, and then you can use three sources from just that you Google, but make sure that you're not just taking the top three resources from the research, from the Google search. Kind of go through these, you guys, look for the best ones and enjoy it. This Nova episode on the AI revolution, there's a link here that's provided. You're welcome to use that as a resource. And you guys already know about timestamps. You're going to learn about how to cite sources from print, from those periodicals, for example. So remember that MLA formatting is part of this grade on this final. So do pay attention to that. Let's take a look at the files section. And here's a student research essay. This is from a previous semester where the student chose to write about, wrote about cloning, the effects of cloning. And so what they do, if you notice here, is they start in the 90s right here.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's when cloning started. And so that's their past, right? So you guys, when you are the way to structure your essay is to start with the beginning of how, where does AI begin with your subject? And in this case, it's in the 90s, born in 1996, scientists birthed the blah, 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 right? So they kind of give the background, and then the thesis statement is about 3 or 4 sentences long. They define what reproductive cloning is. Now, you guys do not need to define AI. You
Mm-hmm.
might
It's
need
common
to,
knowledge.
right, but you might, like, I do not want anyone to write in a paragraph on what AI is. In general, it should relate to your subject. And so
Mm-hmm.
this one here is reproductive cloning, also known as animal cloning. So it's not just random, information. It's specific too. And everything is, every paragraph uses an outside resource to support the claims. This is about 10 years old, so and also I do want to mention that no student example is exactly perfect. It is written by a person. There's most likely some issues with it. So it's there for its strengths, and just be mindful of the I'll get some more research essays uploaded there. I'll do that in the next day or two to make sure you guys have more than one student example.
Okay.
Um, so I have,
Another question,
uh-huh.
can can we, if we turn it in before a certain date, is there a possibility of revising it, or is that not an option no matter when it's turned in?
No, that's a good question. So I normally, I think I said this in an announcement as a reminder that nothing after the cause and effect essay can be revised. However, I was not considering what you just asked. And so if you guys turn it in, let's see when it's due. Because this is just, I have 2 classes. I have about 60 essays to grade.
Ooh.
So that's why I don't allow revision. I just grade it the once. So it's due on the 12th officially. But if you turn it in by the 10th, well, let's say the 9th. By
Okay.
May 9th at midnight, then I can revise it or I mean, I can grade it and you guys can revise it and resubmit it.
Okay. That seems more than fair. Thank you.
Sure. By May 9th at midnight, you guys all heard it here. Um, s- and I will upload more examples for you guys. Are there any other questions that you can think of right now?
That's what I had.
Okay. Okay, you guys. Well, hopefully this helps everyone. And if anyone has any questions that you might have that weren't considered during this conversation, please send them to me via email, and I'll not only answer them, but I'll post them as an announcement so everyone gets the information. Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Caitlin.
Professor.
Thank you. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, talk soon.
Bye.
Bye.